How are you folks out in Lakota living today? Pretty large on life, is it? Today is the first day that Lakota students were no longer bused to school because of $12.2 million in budget cuts that ended school busing for about 6,400 students. And that started today. All 22 schools in Westchester and Liberty Township in some way, if not entirely, impacted by these cuts. And so now you as mom or dad got to shuffle your kid to school. Don't you love? I love when they do this. This is such a great tactic that they employ when they don't get their way with the love. He's like the first, hey, we're going to threaten to cut athletics. Okay, cut a little bit of athletics. We're going to lay some teachers. I never noticed memo comes out and says we're going to lay off, 2/3 of the administrators who largely overlap in duties. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go after the school buses because we can't. You know what kills me about this, Tracy, as a parent, is that I don't know how many memos or discussions or rules in the student handbook have to do with code of conduct and because we have to promote a safe school environment and we're worried about your kids. Matter of fact, didn't Obama or the government just come out and revamp the school lunch menu because they're worried about childhood obesity, which has nothing to do with the school lunch, by the way, and has everything to do with your sedentary lifestyle when you're outside of school. And they're all worried about the minutia of our kids' diets and it's a drug-free zone and it's a gun-free zone and don't teach your kid to be a designated driver. All this other stuff they worry about. Don't bring a plastic knife to school to spread peanut butter because it's considered a weapon. And we've got all these rules. They're worried about our kids and their well-being and their health. But the minute they don't get their money, what happens? You should walk your ass to school.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But think about a single parent. I mean, that could be a big issue. Think about that.
Absolutely.
What would you do?
Well, what if both mom and dad, your job starts at, you got to leave for work and be there at, say, 8 o'clock. Your kids don't get on the bus till 8:45.
Well, think about some of the kids are picking up the bus at 6:30, so they have a long time. They could walk. I mean, I don't know about you, and I hate that story, but I used to walk about a mile to high school.
And that was in Hawthorne.
I lived in Hawthorne and I went to school in Londo. I walked about an hour to school every day when I was in high school, and that's what I did. That's why I'm in great shape.
But in those neighborhoods, did you have
the sidewalk? Come on, man. We're not going to go with the sidewalk here.
Absolutely are.
You can't walk on the grass? I mean, every time I bring up the bike or I bring up walking, the kids are, whoa, what about the sidewalks? You don't need a sidewalk to walk. You don't even need a sidewalk. You can ride your bike in the street. You're supposed to ride your bike in the street, not on the sidewalk.
Well, are you riding your bike? How are you riding your bike to school in the winter when there's 6 inches of snow on the ground?
You can ride your bike on something
right now,
like
but
this.
What
you
about
get a rain jacket, you're good to go.
No. What about on Friday when there's snow on the ground?
You know what, Sloaney? In high school, if you have a friend that's 16 years old, like Maddie would be a good designated driver. You roll. I mean, I never walked after I was a sophomore in high school.
What if your kid's in 6th grade, 5th grade?
Well, then you're going to have to
What about first graders?
Maybe you're going to have to carpool, right? Remember the old days with the carpooling to practice or something like that?
I am saying that, but the reason they do this, though, is because the parents are inconvenienced, because you may have that work schedule where it's like, how the hell am I going to get my kid to school? Right. And it takes so long. Imagine that the congestion at that school with all the parents driving their kids there, that's got to be a nightmare. So that you go, next time this Levy comes on, you're going to go, this is just... It's killing me. I got to say yes. Shaking you down. They care about your health and safety of your kids. Until they don't get their money, then it's like, hey, let's see how we can leverage the parents a little bit more. And the state should step in and say, you're not allowed to cut busing. You got to cut something else. They won't do that because they're in bed with the teachers' unions. Home of the Red, 700 WLW Cincinnati. Sloan and Tracy, 700 WLW. Inside the Lakota bus issue. Today is the first day that Lakota said no more busing. You got to walk. You got to provide your own transportation. Do what you need to do. And this after, and not just Lakota, to be fair, but every school district in the tri-state, if not the rest of the country, make it sound like we have to enforce these ridiculously over-the-top zero-tolerance laws to protect your kid, to keep your child safe before, during, and after school, to the point of feeding them school breakfast, to the point of telling them what they should be doing in their spare time away from school when it comes to things they may disagree with, when it comes to safety in and around the classroom. But the minute they don't get their levy money, the most important thing you can do for the health and safety of your kids, which is to put them on school buses rather than have mom and dad drive them or have them walk, they get rid of the buses.
So you're upset about the cutting of the school buses. I mean, what are they in the hole? 12.2?
Yeah, over $12 million.
It affects 6,400 students. I mean, they've got to do something, Sloaney. I mean, everybody wants to make a cut, but just not that project.
Well, Trace, let me point out, 80% of their costs are labor costs. That's way out of line. And a lot of it has to do, I mean, they cut some 50 teachers, but the problem in Lakota and all these big districts, there's way too many administrators. Too many administrators.
I mean, maybe that's true. But what you said was true. Do what you have to do. And it's not like the moms can't get together and do a carpool.
Well, but the first thing they do, though, is they, other than, they threaten athletics, but then they cut the busing. Hey, the levy failed. We got to stop busing kids. So now mom and dad are forced to bring those kids to school for compulsory education, and they try to make it as uncomfortable as possible so mom and dad have no choice but to suck it up and pass another levy so we can go through this exercise in a couple more years. Mike out in Westchester, you're on the show. You got a kid that goes to Lakota?
Yeah, I got several kids that go to Lakota. The busing cuts don't actually affect my kids. I'm actually calling to let you guys know there are actually kids walking on the main roads right now. I just drove on Princeton Road, and, going around one of those major curves on a rain slick road, there comes 3 kids walking at me on Princeton Road.
Right. And the thing is that, you're not used to seeing that. And secondly, in all fairness, the areas like Lakota, Mason, and others, they were never designed to have people walk into school. I know that sounds strange. They you don't have sidewalks. You basically are forced to walk on the road there.
You're right. This is an old farming community, guys.
Mm-hmm. And time out. Hold on. There's no sidewalks, but you can walk on the grass, right?
Correct.
I mean, I'm getting a visual, Mike, of these kids walking down the middle of the street. That's not what's happening.
They are. Unfortunately, they're not walking in the grass, Tracy. They're walking at
because I know you're talking. It's not a lot of those roads. It's not it's a ditch, is what it is. And on a day like today, it's going to be filled with water.
Exactly. Hey, and on the financial end of it, you guys, I think both you guys, you hit it real good, Sloaney. The teachers on every single cut, who bears the first brunt of financial cuts? It's the teachers.
Teachers. It starts with the teachers, and then they talk about, we may have to eliminate the athletics and move more to pay to play. And then when officially that levy doesn't pass, within a couple of weeks, boom, your kids are walking to school.
Right.
But boy, I'll tell you what, bring a plastic knife to spread peanut butter with in the classroom, and you're sent off to Guantanamo Bay as a terrorist. It's about safety, school lunches. I bet you can walk in the middle of the road. Don't worry about that.